Summary of Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. Let's enjoy the video. Please subscribing to my channel for more great content like this. You'll be notified when I upload new videos. Jared Diamond's Guns, Germs, and Steel is a comprehensive examination of human history that attempts to explain why some societies have developed more rapidly than others. The book's central question is, why did Eurasian civilizations, rather than those from other parts of the world, become the dominant powers in modern history? Diamond rejects racist explanations for the disparities in societal development and instead focuses on environmental and geographical factors. He argues that the ultimate causes of these differences lie in the varying environments in which different human societies evolved. The book begins by discussing the author's experiences in New Guinea, where he was asked by a local politician named Yali why white people had so much cargo, material goods, while New Guineans had so little. This question became the driving force behind Diamond's investigation. Diamond then takes the reader on a journey through human history, starting with the evolution of humans from our primate ancestors. He discusses the spread of humans across the globe and the development of agriculture, which he sees as a crucial turning point in human history. The author argues that the development of agriculture allowed for population growth, specialization of labor, and the emergence of complex societies. He explains that certain regions, particularly the Fertile Crescent, had a natural advantage in developing agriculture due to the presence of easily domesticable plants and animals. Diamond then explores how the development of agriculture led to the rise of complex societies, writing systems, and technological advancements. He argues that societies with access to more domesticable plants and animals had a significant head start in these developments. The book also delves into the role of geography in shaping societal development. Diamond argues that Eurasia's east-west axis allowed for easier spread of crops, animals, and technologies compared to the north-south axis of Africa and the Americas. This geographical advantage contributed to Eurasia's faster development. Diamond then discusses the role of germs in shaping history. He explains how diseases that evolved in dense agricultural societies, such as smallpox, measles, and influenza, gave Eurasians a significant advantage when they encountered other populations with no immunity to these diseases. The author also explores the development of writing systems and technology, arguing that these advancements were more likely to occur in larger, more densely populated societies with food surpluses. Finally, Diamond examines how all these factors came together to shape world history, particularly in the context of European expansion and colonization. He argues that the guns, germs, and steel of the title were the proximate causes of European dominance, but that these were ultimately the result of geographical and environmental factors. Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond explores the reasons behind the different rates of progress among human societies. The book is framed around a question posed by Yali, a New Guinean politician. Why is it that you white people developed so much cargo, but we black people had little cargo of our own? Diamond's answer revolves around the concept of geographic determinism, which suggests that the differences in societal development are primarily due to environmental factors rather than biological differences. Key concepts. Geographic determinism. Diamond argues that the fate of human societies was largely determined by geography. The availability of domesticable plants and animals, the orientation of continents, and the ease of diffusion of agriculture and technology played crucial roles in shaping societies. Agriculture. The development of agriculture was a pivotal moment in human history. Societies that could produce surplus food could support larger populations, leading to more complex social structures and technological advancements. Domestication of animals. The domestication of animals provided societies with labor, transportation, and food. This also led to the spread of germs, to which agricultural societies developed immunities, giving them an advantage over hunter-gatherer societies. Technology and innovation. The diffusion of technology was influenced by the geographic layout of continents. East-west-oriented continents like Eurasia allowed for easier spread of crops, animals, and technologies compared to north-south-oriented continents like the Americas. Political organization. The ability to produce surplus food and the resulting population growth led to the development of centralized governments and complex social hierarchies. Diamond begins by outlining the history of human societies, starting from the emergence of Homo sapiens in Africa. He explains how different environments led to the development of agriculture in some regions while others remained hunter-gatherers. The book details how societies with access to fertile land and domesticable animals were able to develop food surpluses, which in turn led to population growth, technological innovation, and complex social structures. The spread of germs played a significant role in the conquest of various societies. Societies that had domesticated animals developed immunities to diseases that were deadly to other societies. This, combined with technological advancements like guns and steel, allowed European societies to conquer others. Diamond concludes that the differences in societal development are not due to inherent differences in intelligence or capability among people but are instead the result of environmental factors that influence the availability of resources and the diffusion of technology. Chapter 1: Guns, Germs, and Steel. In Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond explores how the titular elements, guns, germs, and steel, played pivotal roles in shaping the fates of human societies. Let's delve into each of these elements with detailed explanations and real-world examples. Guns. The development and use of guns significantly influenced the outcomes of many historical conflicts. Firearms provided a technological edge that allowed some societies to conquer others. Diamond illustrates this with the example of the Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire. In 1532, Francisco Pizarro led a small force of Spanish soldiers armed with guns, steel swords, and horses against a much larger Incan army. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Spanish were able to capture the Incan Emperor Atahualpa at the Battle of Cajamarca. The superior weaponry of the Spanish, including their guns, played a crucial role in their victory. Germs. Germs, or infectious diseases, had a profound impact on the interactions between different societies. Diamond explains that societies with a long history of agriculture and animal domestication developed immunities to certain diseases. When Europeans came into contact with indigenous populations in the Americas, they brought with them diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza. These diseases decimated indigenous populations, who had no prior exposure or immunity to them. A stark example is the impact of smallpox on the Aztec Empire. When Hernán Cortés and his men arrived in Mexico in 1519, they inadvertently introduced smallpox to the indigenous population. The resulting epidemic killed a large portion of the Aztec population, weakening their society and making it easier for the Spanish to conquer them. Steel. Steel represents the technological advancements that gave certain societies a significant advantage. The ability to produce and utilize steel for tools and weapons allowed for more efficient agriculture, construction, and warfare. Diamond highlights the importance of steel in the development of European societies, which had access to the necessary resources and knowledge to produce high-quality steel weapons and tools. The Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire again serves as an example. The Spanish soldiers' steel swords were far superior to the bronze and stone weapons used by the Incas. This technological superiority, combined with their use of guns and horses, allowed the Spanish to defeat a much larger Incan force. Real-world example: the conquest of the Americas. The conquest of the Americas by European powers is a prime example of how guns, germs, and steel shaped historical outcomes. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the Caribbean in 1492, he set off a chain of events that would lead to the colonization of the Americas by European powers. The Europeans' advanced weaponry, guns and steel swords, their immunity to certain diseases, germs, and their ability to navigate and conquer new territories were decisive factors in their success. The Spanish conquest of the Aztec and Inca empires illustrates this vividly. The combination of superior military technology, the devastating impact of European diseases on indigenous populations, and the strategic use of steel weapons allowed relatively small European forces to conquer large and sophisticated civilizations. By examining these elements, Diamond demonstrates how environmental and technological factors, rather than inherent differences in intelligence or capability, determine the fates of human societies. The interplay of guns, germs, and steel created the conditions for European dominance in the modern era. Chapter 2: Time, Flora and Fauna, and Geographical Barriers. In Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond delves into how the interplay of time, flora and fauna, and geographical barriers shape the development of human societies. Let's explore these concepts in detail with real-world examples. Time. Time plays a crucial role in the development of societies. the length of time a society has had to develop agriculture, technology, and political structures significantly impacts its advancement. For instance, the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East is often cited as the birthplace of agriculture. This region had a head start of several thousand years in developing farming techniques compared to other parts of the world. The early domestication of wheat and barley allowed societies in this region to establish complex civilizations long before others. Flora and fauna. The availability of domesticable plants and animals is another critical factor. Diamond argues that regions with a rich variety of easily domesticable species had a significant advantage. For example, Eurasia had a wealth of domesticable plants like wheat, barley, and rice, as well as animals like cows, sheep, and horses. These resources provided a stable food supply, labor, and transportation, which were essential for the development of complex societies. In contrast, regions like sub-Saharan Africa and the Americas had fewer domesticable species. The lack of suitable animals for domestication in these regions meant that societies there could not develop the same level of agricultural productivity and technological advancement. For instance, the llama was the only large domesticated animal in the Andes, which limited the transportation and agricultural capabilities of Andean societies compared to those in Eurasia. Geographical barriers. Geographical barriers such as mountains, deserts, and oceans significantly influenced the diffusion of technology and ideas. Diamond highlights the importance of the east-west axis of Eurasia, which facilitated the spread of crops, animals, and technologies across similar latitudes. This axis allowed for relatively uniform climates and day lengths, making it easier for agricultural practices to spread. In contrast, the north-south orientation of the Americas and Africa posed significant challenges. The drastic changes in climate and day length across these continents hindered the spread of crops and technologies. For example, crops domesticated in the temperate regions of North America struggled to adapt to the tropical climates of Central America and vice versa. Real-world example: the spread of agriculture. A real-world example of these concepts in action is the spread of agriculture from the Fertile Crescent to Europe. The Fertile Crescent's early domestication of wheat and barley allowed for the development of surplus food production. As populations grew, people migrated westward into Europe, bringing their agricultural practices with them. The relatively uniform climate across this east-west axis facilitated the spread of these crops and farming techniques. In contrast, the spread of agriculture in the Americas was much slower and more fragmented. The domestication of maize in Mesoamerica took thousands of years to spread northward into the present-day United States and southward into South America. The varying climates and geographical barriers, such as the dense rainforests of Central America and the Andes Mountains, significantly slowed this diffusion. By examining these factors, Diamond illustrates how the interplay of time, flora and fauna, and geographical barriers shaped the development of human societies. These elements explain why some societies advanced more rapidly than others, not due to inherent differences in intelligence or capability, but because of the environmental conditions they faced. Chapter 3: China, Oceania, and Africa. In Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond explores how geography and environment influenced the development of societies in China, Oceania, and Africa. Let's delve into each region with detailed explanations and real-world examples. China. China's history is a fascinating example of how geography can shape a civilization. Diamond explains that China's relatively uniform east-west axis and its two major rivers, the Yellow and Yangtze, played crucial roles in its development. These rivers provided fertile land for agriculture, which supported large populations and led to the rise of centralized states. One key factor in China's unity was the early domestication of rice and millet. These crops thrived in the fertile river valleys, allowing for surplus food production. This surplus supported population growth and the development of complex societies. The centralized control over irrigation systems along these rivers also contributed to the political unity of China. A real-world example of this is the Qin dynasty, 221 to 206 BCE, which unified China under a single emperor. The Qin dynasty's ability to mobilize resources and labor for large-scale projects, such as the Great Wall and extensive road networks, was made possible by the agricultural surplus and centralized control over the river valleys. Oceania. Oceania presents a stark contrast to China. The vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean and the isolation of its islands created unique challenges for the development of societies. Diamond highlights how the geographic isolation of islands like New Guinea and the Polynesian archipelagos led to diverse cultures and varying levels of technological advancement. In New Guinea, the rugged terrain and lack of domesticable animals limited agricultural development. The people of New Guinea relied heavily on root crops like taro and yams, which did not support large populations or complex societies. As a result, New Guinea remained relatively isolated and technologically simple compared to other regions. On the other hand, the Polynesian islands, such as Hawaii and New Zealand, saw more advanced societies due to their ability to navigate and colonize distant islands. The Polynesians developed sophisticated navigation techniques and built large ocean-going canoes, allowing them to spread their culture and technology across vast distances. A real-world example is the Maori of New Zealand, who developed a complex society with advanced agricultural practices and fortified villages. Their ability to adapt to the diverse environments of New Zealand, from temperate forests to volcanic plateaus, showcases the impact of geography on societal development. Africa. Africa's diverse geography also played a significant role in shaping its societies. Diamond points out that the continent's north-south axis and varied climates created barriers to the spread of crops, animals, and technologies. This led to a patchwork of societies with different levels of development. In North Africa, the domestication of wheat and barley in the Fertile Crescent spread to the Nile Valley, leading to the rise of ancient Egyptian civilization. The Nile River provided a stable source of water and fertile land, supporting large populations and complex social structures. In contrast, sub-Saharan Africa faced challenges due to its diverse climates and lack of domesticable animals. The tsetse fly, which carries diseases fatal to livestock, limited the use of animals for agriculture and transportation. This hindered the development of large, centralized states in many parts of sub-Saharan Africa. A real-world example is the Kingdom of Mali in West Africa, which flourished due to its control over trans-Saharan trade routes. The kingdom's wealth was based on the trade of gold and salt, and its capital, Timbuktu, became a center of learning and culture. However, the spread of crops and technologies was limited by the Sahara Desert and the tsetse fly-infested regions to the south. By examining these regions, Diamond illustrates how geography and environment influence the development of societies in China, Oceania, and Africa. These factors, rather than inherent differences in intelligence or capability, shape the diverse paths of human history. Thank you for listening. I hope this content is useful to you. If you like this kind of content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to support our team. Conclusion. In the conclusion of Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond synthesizes his arguments to address the overarching question of why some societies have historically been more successful than others. He emphasizes that the differences in societal development are not due to inherent differences in intelligence or capability among people, but rather the result of environmental factors that influence the availability of resources and the diffusion of technology. Key points in the conclusion. Environmental determinism. Diamond reiterates that geography and environment played crucial roles in shaping the destinies of human societies. The availability of domesticable plants and animals, the orientation of continents, and the presence of geographical barriers significantly influenced the development of agriculture, technology, and political organization. Rejection of racial theories. Diamond strongly refutes the idea that racial differences account for the disparities in societal development. He argues that all humans have the same potential for innovation and advancement, but environmental factors created unequal opportunities. Interconnectedness of factors. The conclusion highlights how guns, germs, and steel are interconnected elements that collectively shape the fates of societies. The development of agriculture led to population growth, which in turn led to technological advancements and the spread of diseases. These factors combine to give certain societies significant advantages over others. Real-world example, the European colonization of the Americas. A compelling real-world example that Diamond uses to illustrate his points is the European colonization of the Americas. When Europeans arrived in the New World, they brought with them advanced technology, guns and steel weapons, and deadly diseases, germs, to which the indigenous populations had no immunity. The Spanish conquest of the Aztec and Inca empires serves as a vivid example. The Spanish, led by Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro, were able to conquer these powerful civilizations despite being vastly outnumbered. The technological superiority of the Spanish, including their steel swords and firearms, played a crucial role. Additionally, the introduction of diseases like smallpox devastated the indigenous populations, weakening their societies and making them more vulnerable to conquest. Final thoughts. Diamond concludes by emphasizing that understanding the true causes of societal differences is essential for addressing contemporary global issues. By recognizing that environmental factors, rather than racial or cultural superiority, shape the development of human societies, we can better appreciate the shared potential of all people and work towards a more equitable world. In essence, Guns, Germs, and Steel challenges us to rethink our assumptions about history and human development. It underscores the importance of environment and geography in shaping the world we live in today, and it calls for a deeper understanding of the factors that have influenced the course of human history.